Hello everyone. Hope all is well with you all. Just remember, just be nice to someone today, as people can't fake depression, they fake being okay. So there is some more revelation expected later this week in the case of MP Jolyan Silvera murder of his wife, as many people are being questioned about the case and the role they played. It's alleged Fitzbailey disclosed that more charges are expected, with the police have relied on all forensic science to include cyber and ballistic and telecommunication inquiries into their investigation. We have to say bravo to the JCF, because I always thought that with the ballistic report in and cyber technology with telecommunication that can link cell phones, that would put things in quite a good order for the investigation. This is awesome news. However, Fitzbailey continues to downplay claims that the police sergeant who first went on the scene was involved in any cover-up, as he understands that the issue of cover-up is a public discussion. But he is asserting that it's the same police who went on the scene requested a postmortem to be done, and in he doing so, in his understanding and assessment, there is no inclination of any cover-up on the part of the police officer, because it is the postmortem indeed that really is to reveal the cause of death, Fitzbailey said in his release. But there is allegations out there that it was a plan in place to get Melissa Silvera's body cremated, but that plan was derailed when a former hierarchy of the PMP insisted on an autopsy to be done, as there was strong resistance for autopsy to be done. But Topman made sure the police was pushed to ask for the autopsy. Yep. I hope that Topman live for 200 more years because of this deed. It is a blessing towards justice for Melissa, I think. Investigators further theorized, based on a very keen photograph, shows that the scene was cleaned and reconfigured before anyone arrived on the scene. And guys, listen to this. One of the photos inadvertently picked up a spent casing on the bed Miss Silvera was laying on. Did you hear me? Let me repeat. One of the photos inadvertently pick up a spent casing on the bed. It's things like these that make me angry. Why was Mr. Silvera taken so long to be arrested? Not even a person of interest. They took too long, but let's continue. Can you imagine a spent casing found on the bed of a person who died in their sleep? And many people would have known this, and people weren't rattled. Yes? And all throughout that 6 weeks where we there thought that this woman died peacefully in her sleep, these pictures were already taken. Yet we know only the autopsy could have really revealed everything. But I'm saying it would have thrown suspicion high. You know what I mean? I'm telling you guys, 2024 is going to be a different year. You see how bad 2023 was? Remember, God is just sick and tired of us. He is in the revealing business. Nothing not going to hide anymore. Watch and see. Too much is been happening in this little island, Jamaica. Even God has had enough. 2024, watch what is going to happen. A serious year. Then, soon after the autopsy came out, Silvera's licensed firearm was seized for ballistic testing, and it's alleged the gun is matching Silvera's. He was later picked up by the police at his Diamond Court home while preparing for a party that eventually was cancelled, because when thorough checks of the photos of the scene was done, it is not consistent with his statement that he had given prior, and his statements are inconsistent with his first statement. This, said a source close to the murder investigation. It's further alleged that after Melissa's funeral on January the 12th, investigators re-interviewed some of the parties who visited the scene at the house and those who also handled the body. The photos taken of the scene contain items of evidential value. However, investigators have not yet been able to locate a critical object captured in the photographs. In the meantime, the same photo was shown to a particular individual who said that was not how they saw the deceased when they arrived at this location, which really and truly shows that the scene was tampered with. It's also understood that individuals were called to the scene and allegedly carried out cleaning as soon as the body was removed. So that helped to hamper and delayed the investigation of the crime scene. The lone police sergeant who previously reported was the first lawman to visit the scene. He drove his own personal vehicle to the scene, and he has been transferred from the Stony Hill police station. So indeed, there was a first lawman before any more officers arrived. There is also allegations that there are some inconsistencies between the stories given from the morgue and the stories given by Jolyan Silvera. And that is also different from the police who went on the scene, which really and truly did a shabby job. Our investigations wouldn't have gotten the case so late, said a close source. Ah boy, as my grandmother would say, oh, what a tangled web we weaved when we first tried to deceive. Very, very interesting days ahead in the Melissa Silvera's case, because cell site investigation is doing well and is tying the case together nicely. Thank God for technology. I still wonder, how can the police officer be omitted from scrutiny? And also, how can we omit the doctor that pronounced her dead? These two people are going to be under scrutiny. Yes, I know that the doctor's job is to pronounce her dead, but I know the doctor did not call her over the phone to find out if she is dead by telling them, put the phone to her ears and shout, hello, you hearing me? Melissa, hello, you hearing me? Oh, from she not answer, she dead. That's not how it is done. I know the doctor have to do more than checking your pulse. Number one, the place smelled strongly of blood. That was revealed in previous investigation, so that is obvious. When the doctor is checking the vitals of the body, they have to pull down your clothes somewhat. Check your chest, check your pulse, side of your tummy area. With what we are knowing now, that Melissa was shot not once but 3 times in her tummy area, The doctor that pronounced her, if it's even a doctor, but if it was a doctor, they got to know that something was off, and ethically should have reported it to the appropriate authority. When you are educated to a certain level, there are just certain things you just naturally know that something is off. You can't just semantically say, yo, me did just there for check if she dead, yo, me feel her pulse, nothing, she not breathe back, I'ma walk away. No, you talk about this a hierarchy, people. You come in at the place, you feel the aura. Of course, even when she checking the vitals, the way all people would have been around her. Even by checking, even they were saying that Melissa was naked and so on. Remember, it's a brown lady, and so on. You're going to think and you're going to know that something off there. Unless you are saying that as a doctor, she don't deal with ethics. She just knows that she check the pulse, he or she, and she dead. But they are not concerned with anything else that they notice, because they must have noticed something. Check this out. Majority of Jamaicans and people out there in the diaspora were not on the scene, But based on the information that they are getting about the scene, did any one of you really need to ask if the husband was guilty of something and there was some kind of cover up and he got help? No one, nobody never needed to tell them that. Everybody, basically, we never have no evidence to tie it, but in our hearts and mind, we simply know that this is a foregone conclusion. This husband did it, and he is confident because he have links and backative. You understand? But remember, say, his wife also have links and backatives, and there are people who would want to see justice done fairly for her as well. Just as though they may have loved him, they would have loved her too. So it was a 50-50 thing of who have the stronger, what did I call it now, the stronger probability, and that is the person that is going to win in this case, and it is Melissa. Because everything show, the history show, all the scenarios is just pointing that way. It may have been, a moment where he never meant for it to happen, but the reality is it happened. You understand? And that is what we have to deal with, because guess what? She's passed on, and we need justice for that. Doctors are not dunce people. There are a lot of different training that they have to go through, and psychology is a main important factor into going into anything in the medical field. There is just some basic things that this doctor should have noticed. We are not asking the doctor to tell the cause of death, because the autopsy does that, and everybody, if the baby and breast, knows that. But what we're talking about is that the doctor should have known that something is off and would have noticed stuff. It's amazing with Jamaican people how quickly they forget information, and a narrative can guide them out of not thinking for themselves. Remember, in the early stages, it was her own child who allegedly found her first, and it's alleged that she was sitting in a chair with blood coming from her tummy area. Remember, neighbors are there, and knows the first reaction to the death, before the story get twisted towards a particular narrative, for a particular outcome. One thing I tell you is the Honorable P.J. Patterson was never going to make this go down in Wonderland. Her mother was his very close friend, yeah? And she was the only child for her mother. And he was her godfather. And remember, many people already know that Jolyan was allegedly battering this lady from day one. And even though it could possibly be a moment that gets out of hand, that's no excuse. We need justice for Melissa and her children who would want to know whoever hurt mommy needs to pay for what they did. It is funny though, you can see the blatant draw on for the autopsy to be done, leaving him room where he could extensively reconstruct the room. Even the ballistic report was drawn out so man can go a funeral and try impress the public or drop long yai water. In the meantime, he's planning party and enjoying his life. When he was arrested, confident much? You know what I find interesting but very mind-boggling is that Jolyan Silvera was preparing for a party for the aunt of his murdered wife Melissa Silvera when investigators showed up and confront him and arrest him. Throw my mind into total chaos because me no understand this. While me and Nyama myself along with many other people all over the world, Melissa family was still good with him? How that? Unless they never too keen on her either. Even if at the first. But after the autopsy report, a gunshot wounds that took her life. And all the renovations which clearly state is either he did it or knew of it. Like how them still link with him. What could be the storyline he gave them? Boy, that would be really nice to find out. Imagine, after it was said she died peacefully in her sleep, you later find out that she was murdered by a gunshot wound in her own home. Boy, may I tell you, say, this is stranger than fiction. It's absolutely crazy how the love of money and status makes strange bedfellows. Anything for the money and status, people will do anything. It's just really heartbreaking. Remember, if social media was not exploding with the case, we most likely would be still waiting on some results. But it's never too late for a shower of rain. Now he's arrested for the murder of his wife. We so are anxiously watching this outcome and watching to see who else will be charged as accessory to the facts, as there should be some outstanding people that needs to join him. So let's watch and see. This should be very interesting. Another reasoning is that a dead person which suffer fatal wounds can bleed for up to 9 hours after death, given the fact that no blood appeared to have been observed when the doctor or police or others on the scene. Well, of course, unless they were lying. Otherwise, it's possible Melissa dead body was kept for more than 9 hours before anyone was notified about what had gone wrong. In other words, after the deed was done, her body was kept for a while. I guess the person who did it was not sure what exactly they were going to do as yet. And if that was the case, that would be some heartless cruelty, because if you notice it, up until now, we have not gotten a time when she actually passed on. But hopefully in court proceedings, we'll hear all that. We're not expecting to hear every nitty-gritty of everything. We just want to know that justice is seemingly being done, because this is a plain case that even the blind from birth can see what happened here. There's no going around that. It is straightforward murder, cold-hearted murder. So guys, let's take a personal peep into Jolyan Silvera's personal life. Jolyan Silvera is 52 years old and he is from a family that is regarded as almost royalty in St. Mary. He came on the political scene in 2011 general election where Simpson Miller ousted Oldness JLP. Jolyan Silvera, otherwise called Jojo to his childhood friends, was born in the United Kingdom in 1971 to Ian and Cynthia Silvera. Ian Silvera was an administrator at Caymanas Park. His mom Cynthia, an English woman, has called Jamaica her home for several decades. So Silvera was born into an affluent family of landowners. His grandfather Edmund Silvera was a wealthy banana farmer who owned several hundred acres of land in St. Mary. Jolyan Silvera burst onto the political scene in the 2011 general election, where he contested the Western St. Mary constituency for Portia Simpson's Miller PNP and upset all odds when he unseated another hometown boy, Robert Monteith. Silvera was immediately vaulted into the national spotlight by virtue of unseating the formidable Monteith, who went into that election as state minister in charge of local government. Silvera polled at the election was 9,693 votes, 227 more than Monteith. Monteith came back with a revenge in 2016 general election, polling 11,710 votes to trash Silvera by well over 3,000 votes. Silvera was bypassed by the PNP for the 2020 general elections. Despite that, Jolyan Silvera has never been far from his party. He served a stint as chairman of the PNP's founders group. He married Melissa in 2015. That was his second marriage. He and Melissa shared 4 children. However, tragedy struck in 2017 when 2-year-old Justin drowned in the pool at their Stone Hill residence in St. Andrew. In 2023, Jolyan Silvera was prominent on the PNP's island-wide series of meetings with supporters. His campaign involvement stopped when the police announced in December last year that the death of his wife was being treated as a case of murder. Now today, Jolyan Silvera's future is highly uncertain. Now in 2024, he is behind bars with charges of the murder of his wife Melissa Silvera. It's amazing though a family can build a strong and respectable lifestyle throughout the generations, and it only takes one of the offspring down in the generation to mess up all of that and put a scar on the family. Very unfortunate situation. From royalty to jail cell for murder. Anyway, Jolyan Silvera, it's not about you anymore. It's about getting justice for Melissa Silvera. And we will continue to keep our eyes on this case. Anyway guys, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to my platform please. Love you all. Bye for now.